Hi, Julia Watts here. Thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel. So in this video we're going to be exploring one of the tea bag folding sets from Jamie Rogers at Creative Expressions, and we're using the circles. We're using the circle stamps and the circle dies, and we're also using the Tranquil Shades paper pack, and these papers are they're only 120 GSM, so they're like a good quality photocopy paper, but they're an ideal weight to use for tea bag folding. Sometimes if they're thicker, then it's harder to fold. So I mean, you can create your own backgrounds using just copy paper, but obviously these are shades of. And you can get all of these products on my website, juliawattscrafts.co.uk. There is within the packaging of the tea bags, and it's all in all 4 shapes. You've got 4 different folds that you can do. I'm just going to use the basic one, which is what I generally do all of the time, but there is a variation, fold 4, which is basically that, but just adapted very slightly. So I'll show you how to do that. So the instructions are there, and you can see that you've got the 2 dies that coordinate with the stamps, and the stamps have got 2 stamps of the smaller size corresponding to that die, and then the larger stamp here corresponding to that. And I'll show you how you can line these up, because being a circle, you do want to actually have your fold lines, which are these score lines on the die. You do actually want to have them lining up with your pattern properly, and they've thought about that, and that's quite easy to do. So let's start stamping. So we're going for the pink kind of shades in here. Let's pull a page out, and you need to stamp 8 of these. Let's pull out a dark one. They tend to stick together. They are single-sided, so you only need the front. And we're going to our stamping platform just so that we can do a really good job. So we're using the Press to Impress. It smells of new paper, this. I know we've not got smelly vision, but it does. Okay, so where's my stamps? Well, I've just done them here now. I'm using this one here. And they are photopolymer material stamps, they're a good quality stamp. I'll just pop that on there. Now you don't need to worry about leaving gaps between the stamps when you stamp, because you've got a border which you're going to not cut out. It just helps you line it up, so you can actually butt it up right to the edge of your card. Let's put some magnets around there. And I'm just going for Nocturne VersaFine Clair. The paper's quite absorbent, but I did kind of leave them overnight before I actually die cut them, just because VersaFine Clair stays wet quite a long time. You could use Archival, which dries quite quickly, but I do tend to use VersaFines nowadays. You find all the colours in VersaFine on my website. Give it a good old press. So this is the first time this has been stamped today, so we might need to just focus on a certain area, but I'm sure it will be fine. Let it pick up like that so it doesn't move the paper. And there we are. Oh, absolutely fine. So you can see we've got a border going around there. So let's pull this out of here. Get rid of that stamp. And I'll show you how the die cuts. Taking the dies, obviously we're dealing with the smaller one. You can see here that we've got little nicks out of the actual die, and you can see each nick corresponds to one of the score lines. So all you do is pop it on here. And if your ink is wet, all you need to do is just wipe the die between each cut. So you can see that the die fits in to the circle, and you just line up your nicks with the dots on the stamp. So you can see the little dots on the stamp. So you just put the little nicks in the die like that, and then just run it through. And when it runs through, it cuts out absolutely perfectly. And you can see on the back, we've got score lines going on here. That's as easy as it is. It does take a little while because you've got to stamp these 8 times, and you've got to cut them out 8 times. But it's quite, I find it quite therapeutic. So obviously these are scored. So you want to fold them in half. Now I've discovered, and I'll be 100% honest with you, that the papers can split. So do be careful. I would not reinforce them with a bone folder as is suggested, personally. So I've just put 4 folds in there on every single line. I've just reinforced those. So then you can just pinch, and when you pinch, you'll find that you get that kind of shape coming on, right? So then we just want to fold them so it's flat, so you've got that kind of fan shape. And then the basic fold is to just fold into the middle. So you fold one of the front sides over like that, so it meets that middle score line, and then you fold the other one over to meet it, trying to make sure that your point is nice and neat, like so. So that's the basic fold. Okay, so you see I've just folded that over. It's like a little theatre kind of thing. So the number 4 that's in the book is a little bit nearly the same, but instead of folding over, you fold under. So you fold this way, and then that goes underneath, so your top is nice and flat. Now I found that when I've done that, the paper's split, so I'm just going for the paper, the basic fold on this one. I don't know why it's splitting. I've no idea. It could be that it's not a very heavy weight, but that's absolutely fine as is. So I've got, just to make it life a bit easier, I've just got one of the little torn stitch circles from Sentimentally Yours, and I'm going to glue my piece onto here. And I've done a mixture of a lighter pink and a slightly darker pink. So all we want to do is pop it in the middle there. It's just a base. It's not necessary. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. And then I'm going to take my other pieces that I've got here, and then I want a darker one. So I'm just going to put, let's see, let's do it on the back of this, I think. Fold it properly. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back, and then slide it in. So you want to slide it in so it's nice and neat and tight, like that. Then we go for the next one. So I want a light one again. It's only slightly lighter. I mean, you could go the darkest one and then the lightest one, so there's more of a contrast. Like so. It's always the last one that's the trickiest. And we want number 4. If you don't like the dimension that you get when they kind of pop up like that, you can pop a little bit of glue, you know, inside there, or, you know, inside your shapes, whatever you want to do. I quite like the dimension that you get. It's entirely up to you. So we want a light one. This is the sort of thing you can kind of have a good stamping session and a good die cutting section and then do all your folding while you're watching the TV. slide that in again. Like I say, there are 4 shapes. There's the standard square, which is the one that we all know. Let's try and get that into a circle. That we all know, which is the common one. And then Jamie's done the circle, he's done the octagon, and there is a video that I've done with the octagon. You'll find that in my YouTube channel. And then there's also one called the pointy petals, which is the most elaborate, I suppose. And then we've got 2 more. So this is where I discover I've got the order wrong. And we're on the light one. You can see slightly the paper split there. I don't know why it's split, but it doesn't matter because you just put that bit at the back. And in there. And the original one that I did when I did the octagons, I used Studio Light paper pat, the shaded ones, the gradients, which I do have on my website, and they're 190 GSM, I think, and they were a little bit tricky, but it did work. So that one just slides in there. We need to try and get that in so it's a neat circle. There we go. So there's all my bits and pieces all stuck in, and you've got that lovely rosette going on there. Okay. So in the middle, you can put a gem. I'm going to pop a brad in. So let's just, I've got flowers on here, but let's just pierce a hole. Should use a piercing mat really rather than a moulding mat. And I found some nice brads that I've had lying around for years. No idea who made them, but they are quite nice. I would have liked one with a little bit of crystal aurora kind of borealis kind of thing on it, but I don't know what I've done with those. So I'm just going to pop that in the centre. Is my hole big enough? Nope. That's my brad. If you didn't put it on a disc, then you'd have your hole there anyway. Okay, so that's just neatens it up, doesn't it? Okay. And you can start fiddling with them however you want to. So that's going to be my centre point. That's my focal point. And we're going to build our card around this. So I'm going to do a background, and first of all we're going to do a bit of moppy inky kind of background, and I'm using pure white card from Sentimentally Yours, so it's not a watercolour card. I just want to get some colour down really, and using Aged Mahogany Distress ink, just Distress ink, not Distress Oxide. This one's quite dry, but that's absolutely fine, I hope. Give it a spritz with water. Yeah, there's more on there than you think. I think it's hoping that this will coordinate nicely, because it's not a pink as such, it's like a deep red. So I've just used the edge of the card to break that up to give me some splats, and you will find that if you do this technique, it does work differently on a what's it called, a heat resistant mat than it would do on a glass mat. The inks do move totally differently. So we're just getting some ink down on there, and then we're going to put that aside to dry. While my ink's drying for my background, I've got a Sentimentally Yours stitch torn square here, again cut out of the pure white card, and I'm going to just do some stamping in the corners. And yeah, hopefully these will be back in stock later in the year. I'm going to be using the Exquisite Corners and Borders 1 from Sentimentally Yours, and because I'm going to be going on to, I'm going to have some circles here as well. So I'm going to have some circles, so I just want to get a little bit of a design going in the corners. So I think what we'll do is we will take one of the plainer ones. So I think I'm going to go for this one with the fleur-de-lis, because then I'll get most of it on and it won't be hidden. So again, we're going to go into our stamping platform. We are dealing with the stitch torn edge. Oops. Magnets. But I've discovered that it does actually go quite straight on here, see? So that's what you're looking at. You're looking at your stitches rather than the edges to get it nice and straight. It won't be desperate if it's not 100% straight. And we're going to take our stamp. We're just doing basic stamping. We're just going to just use Nocturne and Versifying Clair again. My fleur-de-lis pointing into the corner. Pick it up and give it some ink. I mean, you could pull something like Chianti would be a nice one to use rather than using the black. But because my some of my layers are black, I think it's going to work fine using black ink. Okay, and now we can just move this round and stamp this in all four corners. So it would be lovely if you're not a subscriber, if you would subscribe to the channel, because there's lots of videos on here. Some are Facebook Lives, some are videos that I've just done purely for the channel, and there are playlists. So if you're only interested in Sentimentally Yours, you can just choose that one. There are, as I say, there is another video with the octagonal tea bag stamp and die set as well, and I do find that they team up quite nicely with the Sentimentally Yours stamps and dies. The aim is once we can reach 1,000 subscribers, then we can do some YouTube lives as well, which would be wonderful. Maybe do some new releases and some giveaways and things like that. Let's see. A few more magnets. I like my magnets. I do sell the stamping platform, and I sell the paper templates here, which protect your foam mat on my website. Oh, let's just check that's not going to be in the way. My ink pad's nice and juicy. One more. Just makes it so much easier having a stamping platform. Do remember that the Versifying Clair does stay wet quite a while, so don't put your fingers in it. And it's ideal for adding your embossing powder too, because it stays wet. Last one. It's in the way. That was in the way. Okay, so there's all my four corners, all done. Put that stamp away. And while we're stamping, we might as well come here with the circle. So this is a stitch torn circle. So with the Sentimentally Yours stitch torn range, we've got the squares, which unfortunately are just out of stock just at the moment. We've got the rectangles, we've got the octagons, we've got the circles, we've got ovals, and we've also got a DL die set as well. So for my sentiment, because I'm only dealing with quite a narrow area, I felt that the sentiments that come on that stamp, that's going to be too big for that. I mean, there are 3 sentiments, just because smile and on your special day. So I'm using Fairy Hugs from the Fairy Whispers, and there's lots of obviously they're kind of headed towards fairies, but there are some that are nothing to do with fairies. Be still and listen, the earth is singing. Rain, that's a fairy one. Hope is the dream that awakens the soul. Trust in the magic of new beginnings. The world needs you just the way you are, and thinking of you today. I think we'll have the world needs you just the way you are. I think that's rather nice, because it's quite a long one. I think we might have to go on a block with this, but we'll leave it in the stamping platform to give us a bit of cushion. Because we want to have it, because it's a photopolymer stamp, you can bend it to how you want it to go. So we'll give it a bit of a kink and then see how it's going to be, because you need to give it a kink on your block. That looks good. So I've got to get this right first time, otherwise I'll have to pause the video and cut another one. So he's hoping. Make sure it's nice and inky. See where it's going now, because it's inked. Just give the ink a chance to settle in. So remember, we've got the cushion underneath, which helps you with your stamping. So sometimes, like I say, it's a good idea to just leave it in the platform and come up. Yeah, that's fine. Nice little sentiment. So that's from Fairy Whispers, from Fairy Hugs. And I am the only UK distributor at the moment of Fairy Hugs, so you will find them on my website. Okay, I think that's all the stamping we need to do, except for that background, which I think is dry now, or dry enough. Okay, so let's just give it a little blot. So we've got some areas that are still a little bit wet. I think that is going to be quite a nice colour background to go with that, actually. It's always a surprise, because when you look at the tin, you think there's no way that that's the right colour for that, but they do change, especially when you're using them with quite a bit of water. So it's a little bit kinky, but we'll just work with that. It would settle down for me if I leave it to dry a bit longer. So we're going to use on the top, I thought it might be nice to use the Big Backgrounds Vintage Script Journal page. There are quite a few big journal pages from Sentimentally Yours now. This is an A5 stamp, and I'm going to use it on the block, because I do find that these I find it better to work on the block, because when I'm in the stamping platform, if I miss a bit and if I want to go again, sometimes I find that I end up with I don't know, it moves a little bit. I don't know, I just don't get quite so much detail as using the block. So the A5 blocks are available on my website, so you can pick them up. And it's because it's a big stamp, just pop it on and kind of roll it so that you don't get any air bubbles. And yeah, we are going to go with the Nocturne. To be honest, if you do miss bits, it doesn't really matter. It's a background. It's also got splodges. It's not meant to be perfect. I know we like to have a bit of perfection going on. I think it matters less with something like this one, and the blank journal page is just such a useful stamp. Obviously obviously work all over the stamp, make sure that you're well inked, and then go on to my background. Just right in the middle. So work all over it, pressing, making sure that you've got a good pressure all over the stamp, as you would do anyway, even if you were in your platform. And sometimes what I do, because the inks adhere to that, I'll turn it over, carefully press on the other side, and then lift. And we've got a fabulous background going on. Obviously you can't read it, not even going to attempt to. I think it's in French. And again, you've got kind of thumbprints and whatever and splats. So if you make a mess, it doesn't really matter. Such a useful background. So we're going to pop, think about our layout. So we're going to pop that on there like so. And then this is going to go in the middle, just like that. Okay, so I could, if I wanted to, I could put that onto another layer, but I do actually want to see some of my background, so I think I might just leave it like that. So now I need to, I'm just going to pause and be back with you in a moment when I put all the foam tape on the back. You don't want to watch me do that, really. Okay, so I've got all my foam tape on the back. I've used 2mm foam tape from Woodwear. And I'm thinking that I want to have my sentiment towards the bottom right, like that. So I'm just going to pop my circle down there like that. Now I'm aware that I've got my like little torn edge there showing, which I don't want to have, but we can cover that up with flowers. So I'm just going to, and these here, keep these little bits because you can actually cut flowers out of that, which would be a nice thing to do. I'm just going to use my scissors and I'm cutting at an angle so that I don't cut into the frame, but then I get a nice neat finish as well. Already that looks nice and neat at the top. Try not to put my hands on the sentiment just in case it's still wet. So my background now, the ink is completely dry, the distress ink, so it didn't actually take long. Even though we're not on watercolour card, we're on the pure white from Sentimentally Yours. Okay, so there's our background, nice and neatly chopped. And then we're going to pop this onto a larger stitch torn circle as well. And all of the Sentimentally Yours dies now come on a magnetic sheet, so your storage is already taken care of, which is quite nice. And I do tend to stick mine to the packaging. I haven't with these because I haven't got the packaging with these of my own, but it's a good, it also gives you a bit more strength with your magnetic sheet, and it's a good way of making sure you've got everything, all the information all together. So give that a good old press down. And I've gone ahead while we had our little pause and I've matted and layered my background pieces. Again, I've got 2mm foam tape underneath my my black square here, and it's actually 8 1/4 inches by 8 1/4. So if you want to make an 8 by 8 card, you can just drop it the sizes down just a wee bit. I think I'm going to just raise that up as well. Just to give it a little bit more dimension. Again, we're going with the 2mm. We'll have a double one in the middle. It's always a bit of a work in progress. Change my mind as I go. Sure that's nice and straight, sits in the middle, and you can see where the circles meet the squares, you're hiding the join in the stamping, so it looks like it's a continuous border all the way around the edge, which is quite cool. So I did change my mind as well. So I'm thinking I've cut a stitch torn circle out of black, and I'm thinking I am going to just pop that in the middle as well. So let's get this stuck to the black circle. I'm using Sentimentally Yours glue, as always. It's always this or the Studio Light one. There's also the indigo blue one that I like as well. So there's 3 glues that I tend to use. They're all kind of good PVAs that bond quite quickly. Make sure my bits are turned the right way. Not that it matters too much. And I think we will raise that? Yeah, let's raise that a little bit as well. Ooh. The brad is stopping that from gluing. Naughty brad. Another go. And we'll pop a bit of tape on the back. So obviously you'd make a box if you wanted to send this, but I don't send them anyway, so unless I'm giving them away. Right, let's see where we want that, in the middle-ish. Okay, so I've got some flowers and some leaves to add to it, and I've used the these are your succulent foliage from Sentimentally Yours, and I've cut out the elegant ebony, which is the black card that I've been using. So you can actually, there's a few different ways that you can shape these. You can just pinch them on the vein, which is quite a nice thing to do, or you can just pinch them, use your fingers to give them a bit of shape like that. I think we're going to pinch these on the vein. It's sometimes nice to add a little bit of glitter to it, just to the tips. But we're not going for glitter on this particular card. I only just decided to do this, so I didn't do it ahead. I have done all the flowers ahead, so I shan't be showing you how to shape the flowers on this, but I have in some of the Flawless Media samples I've done, I've shown how to the videos I've done, I've shown you how to shape the flowers. So we definitely want to have, I think, I might not use all the leaves, I mean shape those. We definitely want to have, let's see how this looks. I can see from past the camera. We definitely want to have something there hiding that area there. And I'm thinking, see, I just used the tiny, these are the dotty daisies, although you can't really see the dots where I've shaped the paper. This is the excess paper that's been left from this. So I think we're just going to dot these around on the leaves and perhaps have some up here as well. So let's just do a bit of placement and then just go with it. I am just going to get rid of that little bit of stem there because I don't want that little bit of stem. Oh, don't know why I put glue on that bit there. That's not going to adhere anyway because it's shaped. So I haven't gone for big flowers. I've only gone for quite small ones. Because there's quite a thing about having cosmos flowers at the moment. And I think these are a little bit like those. So we can perhaps put some under junctions. Let's mix them up with the light ones. So perhaps have one there. And then have a little one. Little dark one. Here. Might want to have another little one up here. And then perhaps a couple without leaves up here. Just seems to be a waste to not use up the excess bits of paper from when you've cut your tea bags. Obviously they don't want to stick around the frame, they never do. And perhaps have another couple down here. I think that's it. I think we're all done. So obviously the focal point is your tea bag in the centre. You could, of course, if you wanted a bigger circle, you could have put that on white and then black. So there's a few different ways that you can definitely change it up. But there we go. So I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for joining me. Please subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and like and comment on the video, and let's see if we can make our way up to 1,000 subscribers. I'll do that in a minute. So anyway, do check out my other videos, and thanks for your time. Bye.